Welcome to EFT Nation, your home for all things tapping. For show notes and resources, please visit EFTTappingTraining.com. We are your tapping hosts. I'm Alina Frank.
And I'm Craig Wiener. The information provided in this podcast is not a substitute for counseling or medical advice. The information presented here is meant to inspire and educate listeners, but are not guarantees of any kind.
Okay. Niche. Is it niche or niche? Niche.
Okay.
Today is all about the niche. Niche.
It's all about, your speciality, your specialty, your focus, Do
I have to?
Do you have to come up with a niche? That question is actually so good.
Yeah.
Because it brings up so much stuff for so many people.
Uh-huh.
And the thing that I tell is a niche is really a marketing strategy. Okay? And so what I want to say, as opposed to a specialty, so somebody could say, for example, that all they work with are children.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't work with adults.
Okay.
So that's like a children's specialty practice.
Right.
A niche could be a reputation that's grown as, look, what I really am good at and what I really focus on with children is children. But that's not all I see. I also see their parents.
Right.
I also see teens. And people come to me for a lot of other reasons, but that is the focus of my work. So I just want to say that when you have a niche, when you have a focus, you develop a brand and a reputation so that you can stand out and people have a connection with you other than just EFT.
Right.
Because, until we have a reckoning where more than 10% of the population knows what EFT is, you holding your hand up in the air or putting a sign up that says, hey,
I'm an EFT practitioner.
And like 9 out of 10 people just keep walking because they have no idea what that is or think it has to do with business or money exchange or who knows what.
Or you're right.
Yeah.
But I started that and said that question, do I have to? Because it's something that we see with our marketing and business students all the time and practitioners that we train is
they resist the niche.
There is so much resistance. But every business coach will tell you that it is the key to success. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to make sure that idea really was fact for our industry as well. So we did some research, and what we found was that there are 2 tracks to making this business thrive financially for you. Okay, there are many reasons to start an EFT business. Maybe you just love giving to the world and you don't really necessarily care about the money aspect. Good for you, happy for you, excellent.
But if you're in this as a business, part of the business is having clients, business income, etc.
Exactly.
And some people are very fortunate. They're set up, their spouse is a healthcare provider that just floods their practice with people. Right? You're in a small town and everybody knows you are the energy practitioner, the EFT, and everybody knows you, and it's a big enough town but small enough. I mean, there are certain situations where niching isn't as important. Okay?
Right, for sure.
But
what we found was there are 2 tracks. One track is the niche, specializing, and the second track is to become a trainer. To go through all the steps of becoming a certified practitioner, then the advanced certified practitioner, then the trainer in training status, then finally master trainer. And so we've seen that that's what it takes. So you're looking at, for a niche model, we say about 3 years. For trainer model, you're talking like 5 years. To making some really solid money income where you can live very comfortably doing this.
And when we talk about niche, like what do we mean by that? It's a way that when people hear you, people seek out help for a problem they're having, right? So while there are some people that are looking up EFT,
you mean I just can't tap to feel better about my life?
Well, you can, but when people are Googling, they're either Googling 2 things. They're either Googling EFT, and unless you're the Nick, the Gary, the this, the that already have thousands of pages online and have been around for years, you're not likely to end up on the first page of your search.
Right. I also think that when you are being sort of the generalist, that your audience by default becomes the audience of every other person doing anything alternative.
Right.
If you just I want to go to field transformation. Right?
Yeah, there's transformational coaching.
Reiki, there's transformational, all kinds of
there's
energy
quantum
work.
There's therapy
Absolutely.
There's coaches, therapists, everything in the world.
Exactly.
So it's a tough competition.
It is very tough competition.
So the question is how do you create, that marketing funnel? How do you create that focus where people find you?
Right.
Because as I always say, the process of building a client is that they have to find you, then they have to like you, and then they have to trust you.
Right? For sure.
So the first thing is, how do they find you? Other than the people you already know, that already know and trust you in your life, which probably isn't enough to grow your business.
Right.
How do other people find you? If they don't know your name and they don't know what you're doing, they're not searching for you.
Nope.
So what are they searching for? And they're searching for the problem that they're having that they can't solve.
Yeah, so in marketing, it's like the burning question in the middle of the night, the thing that keeps you up in the night, wakes you up in the night, that you go to Google to search answers for.
And I hate to say it, but what are they suffering from?
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So what's their pain point?
Yes.
Whether it's a physical pain that they're not able to resolve, whether it's, something that they can't overcome, a problem, a phobia, fear, a challenge that they can't overcome, whether it's a relationship they can't fix,
right.
Whether it's a problem they're having with their child that's just making them sick, whether there's so many different issues out there.
Well, I have to say that it's the fear of the biggest fear is do I really have to, is the fear that you're saying no to other people, that you're saying no to clients, that you're pushing them away, that they'll see what you're offering and say that's not me. But here's the secret. Tell me that you've worked with a client, let's just say on sleep issues. How many times have you just stayed on tapping with them on even though I can't sleep?
Well, let's see. Maybe the first time, but then it became
how effective is that?
Right. Then it became the stress that they were having in their marriage that was keeping them awake.
Yes.
And then there was the stress that was happening with their teenager.
And then with work. And then with the pattern of them never saying no to anything and not having strong boundaries. And where did that come from? That came from childhood and a narcissistic mother. And so there you go. Let's name all the things and the areas that you've touched in a series with a client. You've touched on sleep. You've touched on stressors at work, stressors in a marriage, stressors with a teen. You've tapped on what was the other one?
Narcissistic
mom. Narcissistic mom.
And so they tell their friends who have no problems with sleep but have a narcissistic mom.
Exactly.
Or have a relationship problem or a kid problem.
Exactly.
And then you belong to a women's group that then have with kids problems and they ask you to come speak to their group. And so by having a niche, it doesn't limit you to work with anybody.
But it's a good starting point.
But it's a starting place
point to start.
For you to start to get a reputation and a brand, because I don't know about you, but for me and my clients and my patients, people want to know, Craig, who's the best person for X, Y, Z? Yeah. Now, if you haven't used that statement, I'd be surprised. Right? Who's the best person? You're having a knee problem. Who's the best knee guy around? I mean, who's the best? Yeah. Who's the best person to work with teenagers that are having problems with exam stress?
And I want you to think about those people, right? So, for example, therapists in Seattle. How many therapists are there?
I'd say 5,000.
Thousands of therapists in Seattle. Do we know therapists in Seattle that are struggling? To get
absolutely,
people, absolutely. And how about ones that aren't charging enough? Like after all those years of schooling, after all that experience, after having all this overhead, they're not charging enough, and they still are not getting people in the door. And then talk to me about the one therapist who specializes in recovery after a psychotic episode with teenagers after drug experiences. Okay? That guy makes $500 an hour and he's booked for 6 months. Okay?
Yep.
So
because people are looking for, when they find a website and they find one that they recognize themselves in,
yes,
like, wow, this person gets me, and I really have trust and hope that this person has the skills and experience with my problem that they can help. Right. That's what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are a couple of sayings out there in the coaching world. One is, if you're a friend to everyone, you're a friend to no one. And the other fun thing to imagine is that you're standing on a balcony in the second floor of a building, and you want to get someone's attention. If you're screaming, "Hey, hey you, hey you, hey you, you and you and you and you," how many people are going to look up? If you say, "Hey, you down there with the pink concert t-shirt and the red hair," that person is going to look up. People around them are going to say, hey, she's talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. At that kind of specialty and that kind of focus, that's where that, when we said find me.
Yes.
So finding me is enhanced because people are searching for their problem, not your name and not EFT. They're searching for help for their problem.
Exactly.
They find you, they get to your website, they interact with you, and they feel a kinship and they feel a rapport based on you talking about their problem.
Yeah.
And that develops trust. And trust is important for somebody to pay you to work on the kind of problems that people come to an EFT practitioner for. There's vulnerability and trust and connection that's needed.
Yeah.
It's not like buying, shelving paper, right? I mean, it's
yes. So you want to be an authority, and I know that for some of you that's scary, and that all these are believe me, they're tappable issues. We tap with our MBA students all the time on these issues. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you can consider is that one of the things that'll make you almost an instant authority is something that you yourself have overcome. Mm-hmm. So that's a natural niche. That is like the simplest, most direct route is something that you have overcome, and especially something that you have overcome using EFT.
Yep. Yeah, because people want to be inspired by your story. So that's one great niche, is something you've overcome.
Yep.
Another one is just something you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. Maybe you didn't have that particular problem, but you're just moved.
Right.
To a particular population and demographic to help that population.
Right. And then you need experience with that population.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'd say is, your level of thinking of, am I an expert, often raises the bar really, really high.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And what I would say is, can you list at least 30, 40, maybe even 50 things that you know from your experience that might be of use to this person?
Yeah.
And that might have nothing to do with the niche, but what you've learned about EFT, about regulation, and about safety, and about the need and the understanding and connections to beliefs and to childhood adversity, and all the things that you bring as an EFT practitioner gets flavored into that, how that is all showing up in a person. Looks like a lack of sleep, looks like digestive issues, looks like self-image problems, looks like whatever, the stress related to something. So you probably are more knowledgeable and skillful than you believe yourself to be.
Sure.
Certainly more than the client coming to you, that's for sure.
And we believe in not claiming your niche too soon, because sometimes you go out and you find your niche, sometimes your niche finds you. Mm-hmm. And that was certainly the case with me when it came to working with sex and intimacy issues. That niche chose me. I had been a practitioner for a few years, kind of floundering around in my practice, really having it be more of a hobby than a practice. And then what I saw, as the universe does, provided me with one client after another on sex and intimacy issues in relationship. And I thought, okay, holy cow, this is what I want to specialize in. And until that time, I had not received opportunities. And after I claimed that niche and I started becoming the expert in that arena and writing more articles about it and speaking up on it and being invited to podcasts on it, then that's when all of the speaking opportunities came. That's when, the Tapping World Summit reached out to me.
And that's actually an important point, because you have colleagues out there.
Yes.
Like if somebody asked me, Craig, who would you send? I've got, my husband's under a lot of stress at work. Who would you send? Who would you refer? And it's like, what EFT practitioner doesn't work with somebody around stress at work? Like, no one practitioner comes to mind.
Right.
But if you said, my husband is dealing with bullying at work, and all of a sudden, great, I have a practitioner that comes to mind.
I know exactly who comes to mind.
I mean, I have, who do I refer to that's great at sexual trauma? Who do I refer to for somebody that's great at working with teens and exam stress? Who do I send for somebody that has a sleep issue?
Yeah.
Who do I refer to somebody that has skin conditions? Who do I refer? And if you ask me that, I have a practitioner too that pops to mind that I'll say, great. In fact, maybe I'll even do an interview or a podcast with them, because they really specialize in that. So there's not only the public that uses the niche to find you, but also other colleagues and referrals as well.
Right. So we don't want to rush it. And in our MBA program, we spend 2 months plus. Because the saddest thing is that people rush out and get a website because they think, oh, I need a website, I'm now certified. And then they have to redo it all. Most people that come into our program end up redoing the websites that they did originally start.
Or when they remodeled it.
They remodeled it. Yeah, absolutely.
They refurbish it.
But sometimes it takes a while. So we're not one of those programs. I mean, there are programs out there that will have you claim a niche in week 1 of their marketing program.
It doesn't work. It just ends up changing.
I know.
Yep.
That is just like a waste of time and money.
Yeah.
So
you have to date it for a bit.
You have to date it. Yeah. So then, and once you claim your niche, then that informs your forms, right? The forms that you actually have. That informs what you do and do not have on your website. That informs your legal risk management and the ways you apply that to your business and your marketing. That informs how you're going to do social media. What social media platforms are you going to use based on your niche and your target audience? So niche then really does set the foundation for all of the marketing that comes afterwards. And could you be a generalist and go through our MBA program?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're just saying this is the shortest path. We've seen it over and over and over and over again.
Yep. Because, you know what? I don't know about you, but I'm interested in so many things.
Yeah.
And so when I'm blogging or writing about a million different things, people might start to go, wow, really interesting, but it doesn't actually connect their thinking of me with any one particular subject matter. So there is that repetition of a focus over time.
Right. Well, then you can sort of go laterally, right? You can go horizontally on your niche once you have gone, the saying is go an inch wide and a mile deep in your niche, right? Once you establish that, then you can go out to all these different areas, like for you,
because then your name and reputation is already out there, and then you can start to add on other side projects and other interests because you've already established that reputation. But it takes years.
It does. I mean, when you first started, all your first people came from your chiropractic business. So then
that's how they trusted me already.
So pain was your area that people and physical things is what people came to you for. Yep. My arena was relationship, and first it was sex and intimacy, really deep on that, and a sexless marriage in particular, went really far with that. And then from there, other sorts of relationship problems, how to attract your ideal partner, and now wrote a book and now have a certification program for people wanting to learn how to work with relationship issues using EFT. So that's how far it can go. You can imagine where someday you might write a book on your niche, Or you could have a summit on your niche and have different experts come in, and you're the EFT expert for that niche.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just thinking about some of our MBA, students and grads, and on relationship breakup coaching. On all the different factors that are affecting your sleep, on dating over 60, right? All these different topics that are out there. So just know that we don't ever choose them for you. No. We just ask lots of good questions to help you find yours. And we have lots of
exercises to get you there. Yep. And niche experimentation for sure. All right, so we are now accepting applications for our MBA program. Go to EFTMBA.com, fill out an application, and we can sit down and chat with you about our year-long program and what that looks like, and make sure that it's a good fit for you and for us and the group that's coming in. Spending a whole year with a cohort is lots of fun. You get to really know people from around the world. So thank you, and I hope that this has helped you in the exploration of niche.
Thanks for joining us today at EFT Nation. And remember that you can find show notes and previous episodes at EFTTappingtraining.com.